Should you be afraid of ghosts? Are ghosts even real? Let's think about it. Halloween is upon us. It's that time of year that people either love or hate. There's a lot of dark stuff associated with the season. Spooky stuff. Gruesome stuff.
Evil stuff.
But is any of this stuff even real? And what should Christians think about this unseen realm? Many Christians don't even believe in ghosts. Some people have had encounters or experiences that make them believers. Who's correct? Some Christians see demons everywhere. Some Christians don't see demons anywhere. Who is right? Many Christians view ghosts and demons as the same thing. But are these statements true? Americans seem to love dark and supernatural entertainment. I mean, our shows and movies are filled with the occult, witchcraft, and supernatural phenomena. What does the Bible have to say on these topics? Actually, quite a lot. We've simply chosen to ignore it. Starting in this video and the ones to follow, we're going to journey into the supernatural, into the world of the unseen.
We are about to embark into another dimension, a dimension of things unseen, a dimension beyond our senses. We're about to cross over into the supernatural zone.
What does Scripture say about ghosts? Well, in the Gospels, there's this story about Jesus walking on water. I'm going to read Matthew 14:25-27. Now in the fourth watch of the night, Jesus went to them walking on the sea. And when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, "It's a ghost!" And they cried out for fear. But immediately Jesus spoke to them, saying, "Be of good cheer. It is I. Don't be afraid." Jesus snuck up on them. I mean, who expected a person to be out walking in the middle of the night on the Sea of Galilee? I mean, what would your conclusion be? That's not normal. And you have to wonder with how dark it would be back then. I mean, you don't have nighttime electricity. You just have whatever light there is from the moon or the stars, or if there's a storm, if there's lightning. That's it. Imagine what that would look like, seeing this figure walking out on the water. Now here's the thing. When you look up the Greek word for ghost here, it's phantasma. It's not the word used in the New Testament for demon. It simply means an apparition or specter. This means the disciples had a category for disembodied spirits of dead people. Let's move on to Luke chapter 24. Now Jesus has risen from the dead and he's going to appear to his disciples in a room. Luke 24 verse 36. Now as they said these things, Jesus himself stood in the midst of them and said to them, "Peace to you." But they were terrified and frightened and supposed they had seen a spirit. And he said to them, "Why are you troubled? Why do doubts arise in your hearts? Behold my hands and my feet, that it is I myself. Handle me and see, for a spirit does not have flesh and bones, as you see I have." In both these instances, you have the disciples being scared, thinking they've seen a ghost, they've seen a spirit. Jesus assures them, both times, not to be afraid. Notice he doesn't say, "Silly guys, ghosts aren't real." In Luke, he actually affirms the existence of spirits by saying, "Handle me, see. Ghosts don't have flesh and bones." Can you communicate with the dead? Day of the Dead, Dia de Muertos. It's a holiday celebrated in Mexico and elsewhere where you actually invite dead members of your family back for a visit. Now this is not a new idea. It's actually very ancient. It goes way back in history. Lots of cultures have venerated the dead, and we'll see this in later videos. What does Scripture say about this? Well, in Acts 12, you have this story where Peter's in jail and he's rescued by an angel. He's set free and he goes walking to the house where there's a bunch of people praying for him. We pick up in Acts 12, verse 13, and as Peter knocked at the door of the gate, a girl named Rhoda came to answer. When she recognized Peter's voice because of her gladness, she did not open the gate, but ran in and announced that Peter stood before the gate. But they said to her, "You are beside yourself." Yet she kept insisting that it was so. So they said, "It is his angel." You know, you kind of find this funny. They're in there praying for Peter to get out. Peter gets out. And they're like, nah. They thought he had died. Then we move on to Samuel 28. Saul's going to consult the witch at Endor. I wonder if she was an Ewok.
Yep.
He's keeping secret his identity. He wants her to call up Samuel. In 1 Samuel 28:12, it says, when the woman saw Samuel, she cried out with a loud voice. And the woman spoke to Saul, saying, "Why have you deceived me? For you are Saul." And the king said to her, "Do not be afraid. What did you see?" And the woman said to Saul, "I saw a spirit ascending out of the earth." The woman saw something, but who or what? Was it Samuel? Well, this is greatly debated, actually. The point is, she saw something. She was scared of something. Interestingly, the Hebrew word here for spirit is Elohim. Now, if you're familiar with any Hebrew, you know this is the word that's normally used for God. And we actually tend to think that that's all it means. But that isn't actually true. It simply means divine being. What does that mean? Stay tuned. Again, further videos coming. So what are we to make of all this stuff? Well, we should ask ourselves how God feels about mediums, spiritists, and communicating with the dead. God actually dealt with this directly with his nation of Israel. In Deuteronomy 18, Israel's being brought into their promised land, and they're given this warning. Deuteronomy 18:9-14. When you come into the land which the Lord your God is giving you, you shall not learn to follow the abominations of those nations. There shall not be found among you anyone who makes his son or daughter pass through the fire, or one who practices witchcraft, or a soothsayer, or one who interprets omens, or a sorcerer, or one who conjures spells, or a medium, or a spiritist, or one who calls up the dead. For all who do these things are an abomination to the Lord. And because of these abominations, the Lord your God drives them out from before you. You shall be blameless before the Lord your God. For these nations which you will dispossess listened to soothsayers and diviners. But as for you, the Lord your God has not appointed such for you. So there you have a strict warning not to practice these things. And what was the penalty for breaking these laws? Leviticus 20, verse 27 says, "A man or a woman who is a medium or who has familiar spirits shall surely be put to death. They shall stone them with stones. Their blood shall be upon them." Now, would there be a death penalty for believing in the land of make-believe? No. See, God takes this stuff seriously. That means there's something real behind it, and we should take it seriously. Obviously, there are real powers and entities behind the scenes. They can bring bondage, fear, oppression, deception, and destruction. God warns us to stay away. Ephesians 6:12, "For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places." These are real. They're not flesh and blood, but they're just as real. They are unseen. They are supernatural. It's time for us to understand the world we actually live in. It's time for us to think about it.